Hey guys, welcome to the second tutorial in the make your first game in the Flax engine. In this tutorial we'll be taking full control of our player movement. So I want to show you guys what we have here. We just have a cube that can fly off to the distance. So now we're going to be controlling right and left movement, and to do this we need a script. But what we can actually do, we created a script for the adding of a force right now, so we can just go ahead and modify that script. So I'll go under my source, my game folder, and I'll select my player and double click, and it will open up in Visual Studio. So to handle left and right movement, I actually have two methods, so I'll be showing you the two to find the one you're more comfortable with. So we need a float for this. So right public right float, and we'll just call this horizontal force, and we'll default this to about a 500f. And so what we did in the first tutorial, we used a vector 3 to specify movement. So now that this just crossed my mind, I'll just decide to call this forward movement, and I'll do the same here to avoid any errors. Forward movement. Okay, so what I'm also going to be doing, I'm going to be creating a vector 3 to handle the sideways movement. So I'll just call this alright vector 3 horizontal movement equals to a new vector 3, and we want a force on the x, so that is our, sorry I didn't call it sideways force, that is our horizontal force, and 0 on the y and 0 on the z. So now what we have to do, we need a bunch of or an if statement to check if a certain key is being pressed, then we want to add the force. Unlike the way we handled this in the first video, once the game starts the force is being added, so it's like in an endless runner fashion. But we're going to be building this project on level. Just stick to this tutorial and we are going to see a finished game. So what I'm going to do here, alright, if input dot get key, so this basically means if input dot gets the key, and over here we'll pass in keyboard keys. So that means if we're pressing a keyboard keys, and if that key is that was write dots, and if you can, there's a list of keys here, you can select the key you want, but I'll go with A. And alright, or operator here, so we can select multiple keys, that is using the arrows. But I think I won't do that, but in case I want to do this, you can just write or input the get key right arrow, or left arrow rather. You can just build this based on the way you want. You can just use the or operator. So now I'm going to, so if we're pressing the key A, we want rb dot add a force, and we'll do a horizontal force, and we'll do force mode dot velocity change, and over here I'll just write horizontal movement, not force. I don't know, I'm just being stupid today. Horizontal movement, and we'll do this multiplied by time dot delta time to make it frame independent. So now what we're going to be doing here, we'll just copy this codes, Control C, and we paste them down here, control V. So rather over here we want to check for the key S, and if we are pressing this key we want to do a minus horizontal movement. So I hope this works. I'm a terrible coder. Yeah. So if I save this and we head back into Flax, you can see over here it's compiling. The completion process is quite long. I'll find ways to speed up this completion process, or you can go ahead and ask on the Flax communities like the Flax Discord, the Flax forum, and other communities. So right now I'll just wait for this to compile over here. Then I didn't talk about this in the first video. You can actually modify your force, how much force you want added. I just stick with 8,000 for the purpose of this video, and we can also specify our sideways force or horizontal force over here. You can name this whatever you want. Basically it's just for better identification. So if we hit play now, so if we press A, force get added, and if we press S, the force get added in the other direction. So what I did, I actually checked these keys in the bad manner. So we'll check for S over here, or rather we'll check for D over here, and we are going to check for the A key over here. So hit Ctrl S and we will save this and head back, and again wait for it to compile. We didn't change much, so it shouldn't be too long, I hope, at least. So we will be patient enough and wait. So I just want to up the sideways force to about 700. Okay, so it's done compiling. So if I play now, A, Z, and yes, we have a working player movement in the two directions. So now that this first method is done, I think it's time to show you guys the second method, but I'm just going to keep this as a fully commented script because we're going to be sticking with this. So what we could have done, we just need a vector. We could have just written a vector. No, I won't write this down, I'll just explain this to you guys. So we actually needed this vector tree for horizontal movement, and we add horizontal force. All we needed to write after that was if in input, so basically what's happening here, what, oh my god, I can't believe this is so embarrassing right now. Okay, like we don't need input. What we needed a vector tree for horizontal movement, new vector tree, and over here where we have this horizontal force, we could have just passed an input dot get axis in the horizontal axis. So this could have just saved us having to use all this if statement to check keys pressed. It would have done that automatically for us, and what we needed to write was if horizontal movement is not equals to vector 3 dot 0, then we could have just specified some kind of logic here, like rigid body, that is how we called it, RB dot add force, and we'll just do the horizontal movement. Then we needed a speed variable for this, so you can just go ahead and do speed. So I'll just use the forward force and forward force, or you can use sideways force, or sorry, our horizontal force. It's depending on you. So let me just do that to not confuse you guys. So I'll just do a horizontal force multiplied by time dot delta time, and force mode dot velocity change, and this is all we needed to do in that script. So I'm just going to go ahead and comment this out. Now what we're talking about is how we add force to the player. and we'll end this about
add force. And so now let's just select this. You can see applies a force or impulse defined in words based with rigid
so
body as a command. So
we'll
it
just
takes
have
a
to comment all these out.
and you can do multiplications and add a force in there. But so for now let's just go and create that vector. So we just write vector.
So we comment out,
I'll just call this
comment it out, comment
equals to
and comments, and what we need to do over here in this vector 3, we'll just write
the
and
simple basic definition is just three floats representing the x, y, and z axis. The x always comes first, y always comes second, and z always comes.
we just write an input dot get axis horizontal. So input dot get axis,
so we can input 1000 here, but we will not be inputting this manually. That's why I created a variable. So we just type now forward
and we'll get the horizontal axis. So now with this being done, if we save this, we can now use the two arrow keys with the A and D buttons to control our players movement. So again, I'll wait for this to compile. We really need to speed up this compilation process. Alright, so I'm going to find a way to do this in future videos, but now that it's done compiling, if we hit play or hit F5 up, and that's the shortcut A, D, right arrow and left arrow, and yes, it is finally working. Right arrow, left arrow, and yes, so you actually have your player movement. So if you, this is basically it for this video. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, share this channel, subscribe, and join our Facebook group. And for this free education, please hit that subscribe button and smash the notification bell if you really want me to continue this series, or if you're enjoying the series lately. So with that being said, I am going to see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.
This takes in a rigid body. So if you just select this arrow here, you can see the only rigid body we have in the scene is our player.